Alright, greetings Padawans. This is Jedi Lesson 1, Understanding the Internet, going over some of the basics of how we as users connect to the Internet and how it works. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, what is the Internet? It is a massive, publicly accessible network that interconnects information-providing computers known as servers. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have many servers out there, servers for Google, servers for your email. They all provide a service. They all provide access to data. So the next question is, okay, the method of interconnecting these is a network. What is a network? Well, a network is anything that interconnects a series of similar objects. As an example, you can have a network of canals and rivers. You can have a network of sales and marketing consultants. But in the world of IT, a network is what connects users to their data. Users typically access from their PCs, their mobile devices, their phones, their netbooks, their laptops, and the data that they're accessing sits on the servers, and the servers are connected to this network. So, how do we connect to these data servers? Well, as humans, we like user-friendly names that are easy to remember. Google.com, nakedhookers.com, whatever the case may be. We like nice, simple names. However, that is not what goes on under the hood. Computers do not understand these names. They use logical IP addresses. These are numbers. These are 32-bit numbers that are broken up into 4 octets. And by octet, I mean an 8-bit value. Just a side lesson here. 8 bits means that there is 2 to the power of an 8 number of values. So that's 256. 2 to the 2 is 4, 2 to the 3 is 8, 2 to the 4 is 16. You keep doubling it 8 times, you get 256. So the value of each one of these octets, you have 256 possible values. Now what throws some people is, why is the largest value here 255? Well, we're nerds, and we don't start counting at 1, we start counting at 0. So from 0 to 255 is the possible value. So this would be 8, 16, 24, 32. So your total is a 32-bit address. And the possible range is this here. So for instance, you could have 0.0.0.1 all the way up to 255.255.255.255. Those are the possible range of addresses. Now there's certain rules, we're not going to cover them in this lesson, on which addresses you can use, which addresses you can't use. Some of them are allocated for the government, some are allocated for private internal corporate use and not routable over the internet. That is beyond the scope of this lesson, but for now just know that numerically this is the possible range of addresses that you can have. So if you have these IP addresses, there has to be a way of associating them to these names that we're familiar with. That service that associates an IP address to a user-friendly domain name is DNS, Domain Name System. So now we're going to go to our learning exercises, which is really the core behind this. How do we discover an actual IP address for a domain like? Well, there's 2 ways. One, there's a site, a pre-existing site where you can type in any domain and find the IP address. So let's go to this website right now, domain2ip.com. Didn't like that very much. Let's just type it in. There we go. So we're going to use Google as an example, google.com. What is the IP address? Waiting. Here we go. So this IP address is really what the computer understands. This is what the computer is communicating with. So let's see if I can copy this. Perhaps not. I'll just open it over in a notepad. So we have 74.125.226.116. So I can take this IP address. We'll open up a new tab here. And if I punch in this IP address, it takes me to google.com. It's the same thing as far as the computer is concerned. We just work with user-friendly names. The computer works with IP addresses. So that's one way to find out what is the IP address of a particular server. The other way, which is what the direction I'm going to encourage you through the series of training videos, is to make use of command tools. Now, the way that you can get to them, I have it here in my shortcuts, but you go to Run, type in CMD, and this will work on Windows 7, this will work on Vista, this will work on XP, this will work on every version of Windows back to Windows 95. So you type in CMD, you hit enter, and you're going to get this lovely DOS prompt here. So for part of this, let's go over some of the functionality. So I'm going to minimize this window here. Alright, first thing you want to do is to turn on easy edit mode or quick edit mode. You go down here to the taskbar, you can go up here, you right click, you go into properties, this here options tab, something that says quick edit mode. This is going to be very useful to you because you're going to want to be able to copy information in and out of here, maybe onto a notepad or whatnot. So make sure this is checked. If it's not, just check it, hit OK. It's going to say, do you want to do it to the current window? Do it for the properties of all future windows. This is a feature that you really want to enable as you go on with these series. So let's get some basic idea of what we're doing. This is not a graphic user interface. What we are doing is typing in commands and then entering them into the command shell. So one of the first things we're going to do is we have a lot of stuff on screen. Let's clear this out. So we're going to type CLS for clear screen and hit enter, and that's going to get rid of everything on the screen. Okay? Now, along with our exercise here, we want to be able to discover the IP address of google.com. So the utility that lets us do that is nslookup.exe. You don't have to type in the exe. You just need to type in this portion right here when you're entering commands. So let's go ahead and do that. We already have, I believe, the IP address saved over here. There we go. So let me show you the benefits of the easy editing. Without easy editing, you would have to type this, but what I can do is nslookup google.com, hit enter. Alright, and then it's telling me down here, this is just the server that's actually doing the resolution. The important part that you want here, it tells you the name of the domain is google.com, and these are all the IP addresses associated with that. Now you might be thinking, I saw one IP address before. Why are there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 IP addresses? Little side note here, kids, in the IT industry, we really want to have a backup plan. You know, it's possible a server may fail. One of the google.com servers can fail. So what do? We have 5 different servers that are all mirror images of each other. So if this particular one goes down, any one of these guys can take over in its place. Alright, so now we have an IP address. What do we do with that? Well, do you want to have to memorize it or type it in a notepad? There's an easier way. Now that we have quick edit mode enabled, again, right here, go to properties, quick edit mode is enabled. You can now click and highlight. Now, what tricks up most people is you don't right click and copy, you don't hit Control C, you actually highlight it and then hit the enter key. And as soon as you hit the enter key, now we'll go ahead and close this. We'll go back to here so you guys believe me. Now you can right click. There we go. See, it happens even to hackers. You can right click, go to paste, and there you go. Voila. Brings us back to Google. Alright, so that's going to conclude lesson 1, the basics of how we communicate with the internet. Check in sometime soon. We'll have more videos on the basics of networking that will kind of carry you through this basic idea of what the internet is and how it works, and go on to more advanced looks and to see how it really communicates under the hood across the entire network of servers. Alright, this is a Cisco Jedi signing off.